Today we discuss the question, what's the most important factor in any business? So before we get into it, do these three things. 1, take your guess on what that most important factor is. 2, listen to see if your guess is right. And 3, let me know if you are right or wrong. Welcome to the Rodney O Podcast. So my management style was always slightly different from what people expect or kind of what others want to see from a manager. And so most people will want the manager to handle a problem directly, right? Like once they see something happening, they would want that manager to kind of go and take care of it immediately, And in certain circumstances, that's what I do. But I usually approach things a different way. I really want to teach someone else and have them handle the situation. So going back to when I was managing fast food restaurants, an employee kind of noticed something. That I would go to one of my managers on duty that was working the shift, and I would go and kind of say, look, notice something here, take a step back. This is what I see. This is what's going on. This is how I would plan ahead. This is what I would do. And then I would say, so you want to go over there. You want to tell this person to do such and such, and then tell that person this, because that will give you this result. And so I would tell them what I wanted them to know. And so the employee asked me one time, they said, Rodney, why do you always tell the manager to tell me something? I heard you. You can always just tell me, and I do it. So why go through that extra step? And so I sat back and I explained to them that by telling the manager on duty what I wanted to do and what I saw and how I ran things, I accomplished so much more than simply going to the employee myself. Because 1, I can't be there all the time, right? The more managers know how I want things ran and how I do things, the better my restaurants ran the full time when I'm not there. And so overall, my stores ran better than most because it ran as if I was there all the time, because I hammered my managers to kind of look and see the same things that I did. And not only has the employee learned what I wanted to and how to do something, but my manager did too. So it's kind of 2 birds with 1 stone. And then also just by investing in my managers and investing in my manager, huge dividends were paid off from that because the company viewed me as somebody who was able to train managers and train good ones. I was known as somebody who could hire the right ones because I did interviews. There were 4-hour interviews back then for store managers. And the company viewed me as one of the people who could do that. They called it a realistic job preview, RJP. And my business ran at a high level at all times, because it took on my personality and my expectations. So, thanks for joining the Rodney O Podcast, and today it's all about people.
What's up, guys? This is Travis Yance with TravisYanceFitness.com, creator of the Alpha Fitness Program, and you're listening to the Rodney O Podcast, the Alpha of Podcasts.
Well, today's podcast is exploring the subject of what's the most important factor in any business. And so myself, I consider myself a businessman, having a real estate company as I'm a real estate broker. So Trinity Real Estate is my company. And I also build my personal brand through podcasts, YouTube, and other platforms with my website, Rodney O Speaks. I talk about business a lot. But one of the most important, underestimated, overlooked element of business that often gets taken for granted is the customer. But more than just that, more than just the customer, because that implies that they're getting something from us, that they're buying something from us, right? More important than that, it's people. This week I was reminded of how important it is to focus on people. I mean, the simple answer is always goes back to faith, to what I believe in, right? I mean, you do have the golden rule that says treat others the way you want to be treated. But for me, it comes down to the 2 greatest commandments that God gave us. Love God, love others. I sum those up in 4 words. Love God, love others. Everything can be summed up in those 2 elements, right? But I know what some of you guys may say. People are irritating, that they get on your nerves. And then you mix that with the difficulty of getting a business off the ground, and it's easy to become spiteful towards people. I mean, in my industry, in the real estate industry, I can get frustrated by people who flake, won't return calls, back out of deals. When you deal with people in churches, that's something else I do. It can be much worse. I know you won't believe me, those of you guys who aren't in church or even not in what we call vocational ministry, but I'll save that topic for a different day. But as we go on, we get frustrated by the lack of growth that we may have in business. So we begin to lose our morals a little bit, right? Because we need to make that dollar. So we start taking advantage of people just to get a quick buck. I really experienced something. I experienced a bait and switch recently. And in my opinion, those things aren't a clever marketing scheme. It's just an immoral practice. Not something you really want to get into. It's deceptive and it's wrong. But I received an email stating that I would be paid a little bit of money if I advertised on my IG page, my Instagram page. And it was a clothing company, clothing brand. I'm into fitness, okay? So I'm like, okay, this might be legit. But from the start, it was kind of skeptical. But I wanted to kind of approach and see what their hook was. So I kind of approached it, and it was an email. And so one of the other things that I noticed was my following isn't huge, and I'm not even at the 10K threshold where you get the little swipe up feature. But I explored it, and when I clicked on the link in the email, it took me to a place where it asked me to create a login, and I created one that had nothing to do with my Instagram, and it said I was not qualified because of my lack of followers. And so then I knew that this had to be sketch, because going from an email to a website and then making my own login, they had no connection to my IG account. They had no idea. Anybody could have clicked that link, right? I even had a friend who followed the link as well, and he has over 10K. And guess what? The same message appeared. So they were talking and targeting people who were under the 10K threshold, because that's usually a threshold that everybody wants. But they said, you know what, we can help. So they sent me to a page where I could buy followers. And that was the trick in the first place. To kind of get you interested in being an IG influencer, right? To being that Instagram influencer, getting paid for that. That's what a lot of people aspire to be. And then they say, we're sorry, you can't get that, but you can get this. It's a bait and switch. And so another issue we may have that causes us to ignore the importance of people is looking at other people's success. We look at other people and we say all kinds of things, right? We wonder why they got more followers than us, why they have more likes, why they have more business opportunities, why do they have more customers, whatever it may be. But we forget that the trick is to focus on ourselves and can control what we can control what we can do. Maybe we're not taking the time to study our analytics and adjusting like other people are. Maybe other people are doing it the wrong way, which is a short-term way to win. And they're going to win on the short term, but you're going to have the perseverance because you treat people right. But maybe we aren't dedicated to improving our content. Maybe we're just putting stuff out there hoping that it will improve and do better, but we're not working on our craft. But what we don't want to do is just ignore the value of people. See, they're the ones we should be doing this for, to provide content and something valuable to them. So here's the point I'm trying to make. The most important part of any business is people and community. This week I had the pleasure of talking to a guy named Mornay. He's the owner of Journey Coffee, and it's a business that has grown tremendously in the local area. It has 2 locations and is building a bigger dining area. I'm just doing some good things. And so when I asked how he succeeded so much, especially in a time where Starbucks and Peet's Coffee and others are around and kind of that global chain that's on every corner, he says because he focused on people and community. Now, I know Starbucks, I think they say the same thing when it talks about that, about it's all about people. But what Journey does with people and how Journey's approach does it's completely different than any other coffee shop I've seen. It's not like I said copy, I said coffee. But be sure to check out this story on my YouTube channel to see more. My YouTube channel, Rodney O, and catch the Rodney O Weekly episode 10, and be sure to subscribe to that. Really good conversation, really good interview. Mornay is doing some really good things and really inspired me. Because it reminded me that I need to put people first. I put content on Instagram, Facebook, I do podcasts, I do YouTube, all for the purpose of getting out there and sharing things that I feel can help other people. Beyond that, I also want to sell real estate so that people can get their dream house or sell their property due to the fact they need a bigger home, maybe even a smaller home, maybe they're downgrading, whatever it may be. I like seeing people reach their goals, especially first-timers. Getting their first house, the joy and excitement that they have when that happens. I also love being involved in churches, getting to know people And I have been doing this. I've ministered to people from newborns to adults as far as responsibilities, teaching and experience in life with them. And so it just comes down to this. It's all about people. It's all about how you treat other people. Before you think about all the money and success and being rich, think this one thing out. What can I do for someone else? And while you think about that, let me leave you with a few steps that can probably help you out to focus on that. And always remember to focus on people. Number one is network. Meet people and get to know them. One of the things that I love doing about my weekly YouTube is going out and seeing people. I love having people on my vlog with me, talking to them, sharing ideas, getting to know them. Networking is very important. Going out there, meeting people is very important because it's all about people, so you should get to know them. Second, invest in people. Do something for them without expecting a return. Invest in somebody, help them out, train them, inspire them, encourage them. Do something with them and don't expect anything in return. Trust me, your reward will be great for that. And then 3, repeat. Meet new people. It's a continuous cycle because people are important. It's the most important aspect for any entrepreneur, and it's something you guys need to remember in your journey for whatever you do. Well, please feel free to dialogue with me. My YouTube video, Rodney O Weekly, shows that I am living what I speak. Please be sure to subscribe to that channel, the Rodney O YouTube channel. The link is in the podcast description, or you can simply go to YouTube and search Rodney O Weekly. Remember this, I want to inspire, encourage, and motivate all of you as you navigate this journey that we call life. Thanks for joining me, and I will see you guys in the next one.